Hello, everybody. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is January 28th, and we're going to talk about this strong atmospheric river slash pineapple express that's going to be moving into the Pacific Northwest over the next day or so, bringing some heavy rainfall to the mountain locations and some isolated river and possible urban flooding issues as well, especially for Vancouver Island. You can see this huge stream of moisture that's over 2 to 3,000 miles long. And it's extending all the way from Hawaii, which is why we call it an atmospheric river pineapple express, as we like to call them around here. And then we're also going to take a quick look at the extended forecast. It looks like a cooler pattern is going to set up later this coming week after we get these atmospheric rivers through. The jet stream is going to become more wavy, and it's going to allow some cooler, the potentially colder air to move in over the region. I'm not really talking about lowland snow right now, but some higher hilltops have a chance of some flurries as we go through later this week into next weekend. If you like these videos and find them informative and enjoyable, just please hit the like button, subscribe buttons down below. It helps the channel out and helps it to grow. And just also just please comment down below where you're watching this from. It helps me to know where I should focus my weather forecast for. So just comment down below where you're watching this from, and I'll be glad to look at the comments and make sure to cover those areas in my future video. So without further ado, let's get right into the forecast. Now looking at the general region trough positions on the European model, and this is the ensemble mean, so this kind of gives us a better look at some of the possibilities we are going to have over the coming week. If we play this out, we can see that our belt of moisture that's bringing in the atmospheric river into the Pacific Northwest over the next few days is going to continue on as we go through midweek. But then look at this wave break happens, and I'll show you another good visual here in a second. But then you can see that this causes the trough to kind of dig down over the West Coast. This is going to bring some a lot of storm systems into California as we go through later in midweek into later this weekend. And this is going to cause some colder air, some chillier air to move out of Canada over parts of the Pacific Northwest. And that trough just kind of hangs there and just sits out. And this is going to lead to potentially a colder weather pattern as we go through later into early February. So we're going to continue to look at that as we go. Now looking at the 200 millibar wind speed, this is basically where the jet stream is in the upper atmosphere. And we can see that this elongated jet stream is pumping all this moisture into the West Coast, bringing potential for record warm temperatures over the next couple of days for California, Washington, and Oregon. It is also bringing the excessive moisture as well. But then you can see as we go through the first week of February, you can see the jet stream kind of causes this wave break, and this is going to lead to a trough that digs down the West Coast and may actually bring some winter potential to parts of the eastern U.S. But that's kind of out of our forecasting zone. And then you can see this kind of just continues with the jet stream retracted all the way back out west. And this is going to continue the active weather pattern potentially for the West Coast. Now looking at the European model on the left and the GFS on the right, we can look at model disagreement and see how the models are handling things. So as we go through Tuesday and the Wednesday, they're handling our atmospheric river and our ridge to the east very well. And you can see that this trough, there's a little bit of differences showing up as we go through this Thursday and the Friday, but that's kind of to be expected beyond 5 days. But you can see that generally pretty good agreement on very similar weather pattern. But then as we go through later into early next week, you can see some major differences showing up. The European model drops this pretty cold lobe of low pressure over parts of Northern California, Oregon. This would bring a strong storm system in the parts of California and also bring some even colder air to the parts of Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia as well. But you can see the European model brings another wave in behind that, but the GFS kind of starts weakening this, pushing it eastward with this ridge building. So this wouldn't be as cool and as stormy as the European model. So definitely some model disagreement we're going to have to work out over the coming week. Now looking at precipitable water anomaly in Sigma. So that's just basically, this is showing how much precipitable water or moisture there is in the air compared to normal. And you can tell that the reds are above normal, especially those browns and some of those white colors showing up. And this is showing our band of atmospheric river that's moving into southwest British Columbia and parts of Washington. And you can see this axis of moisture is kind of right near the Olympic Peninsula up towards Vancouver Island, where the heaviest rainfall is expected. This is kind of moved south, but this this stronger low off the coast kind of pumps it back into the region as we go through later Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing the final hurrah of rain before we finally get out of that moist southwest flow pattern before drier and cooler air moves in behind that. Now looking at 6-hour precipitation type in inches and also looking at the sea level pressure map, you can see our multiple waves of moisture in the strong atmospheric river moving into the region through the next few days. Just really not much of a break for a lot of places for Washington, British Columbia, and parts of Oregon as well. But then you can see as we go through later on Wednesday, this atmospheric river and strong frontal system starts moving through California. This is going to bring intermediate and moderate to heavy rain and potential for some pretty decent snow amounts in the Sierra Nevada mountains. So definitely going to be a rainy day on Wednesday into Thursday as well. So be careful down there. There may be some nuisance urban flooding, especially if those rainfall rates are rather heavy and can quickly make the roads and traveling conditions rather dangerous. But then you can see the cooler and showery pattern set up behind this as the colder air starts dropping down from the north. And there's that storm system that the European was showing at the very end of the range, but we'll continue to look at that. If we play out the total precipitation inches from the National Blended Models, you can see our atmospheric river clear as day on this map. And if we play this out the 10 days, you can really see it's really highlighting California with a lot of heavy precipitation. Some of these precipitation totals are approaching 4 to 6 inches for some of the coastlines of California, all the way down to Los Angeles, actually, with 3 to 4 inches showing up down there for the next 10 days. So that would be rather heavy rainfall. This may be overdoing it a bit, but some models are showing this, and this is the blended model, so I'm kind of putting a little more trust in some sort of heavy rain scenario for a lot of California. And this precipitation in the Sierra Nevadas is likely to be all snow for much of the higher terrain. So definitely some good snow amounts coming to Lake Tahoe down there. And you can see Vancouver Island, an additional possibly 8 to 12 inches of rainfall for parts of the mountains of Vancouver. So definitely some runoff and river flooding issues up there. Same for parts of the Cascades in southwest BC, north of Vancouver and north of the Strait of Georgia. You can see Washington, Oregon is not getting as much in these other rounds, but still a good 2 to 4 inches possible in some of the Cascades in the Olympic Mountains, and maybe another inch or so of rain for parts of the lowlands. Now looking at the European model ensemble mean for the next 10 days, you can also see a similar picture with up towards 8 to 10 inches for Vancouver Islands. That's over 6-inch totals for southwest British Columbia Cascades, also showing heavier rain amounts as we go over the next 10 days for parts of Washington and Oregon. So there's potential for another couple inches of rain possibly from the weather locations of the lowlands. But then you can see California is also very much highlighted, with the entire coastline getting anywhere from 2 to 4 inches from all the way from San Diego all the way up towards Eureka, California. So basically the entire swath of the California coastline. So definitely a wet pattern incoming for California, and pretty active as well. Now looking at the national blended models, the total snow in inches, you can see really not any snow except for the Sierra Nevadas as that cold front moves down over the region, bringing that heavy precipitation. You can see really not much snow for any places in the Pacific Northwest except some of the higher elevations of the Cascades and southwest British Columbia. But then you can see that cooler pattern show up and starts finally bringing some potential mountain snow to the Pacific Northwest. So it's not looking like a huge snowstorm for the mountains with this pattern coming up, but some is better than nothing in my playbook. Now looking at the daily max 2-meter temperature in Fahrenheit, this is looking at the high temperatures tomorrow on Monday. You can see high temperatures for the Willamette Valley and parts of the Puget Sound getting over 60 degrees, which is approaching record-breaking temperatures, and very similar temperatures getting up towards Vancouver as well, with temperatures over 50 degrees Fahrenheit and also getting the double digits Celsius scale. And even record-breaking temperatures for California this time of the year, with temperatures getting in the upper 60s to middle 70s for parts of the central valleys and parts of the coastline, especially down near Los Angeles. So very warm days coming up. But then you can see temperatures start dropping as we go through the week, as those atmospheric rivers finally end and that cooler pattern starts coming in. Now looking at 2-meter low temperatures, and you can see that low temperatures maybe not even getting below 50 degrees on Monday for Seattle. That's pretty balmy out there, and very similar for the California Central Valleys as well. But then you can see these lows stay in the 50s for a lot of the Puget Sound, Willamette Valley through Wednesday. But then you can see that drops off as the cold front and cooler air moves in, with potential for some freezes coming up for lots of Washington. But we'll continue to look at that. Now looking at the National Weather Service of Seattle/Tacoma, you can see that there's some flood warnings up for the Nooksack River up in Whatcom County and parts of the Chehalis River down here near Olympia and Tacoma and south of the Olympic Mountains, as some of that heavier rainfall and some of that runoff from the melting snowpack gets down into the rivers and kind of causes them to start potentially flooding. And you can also see that they're highlighting the record warmth possible with record warm highs and lows. So not just the high temperatures being record, but also the lows potentially. And then you can see as we go through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Saturday, the high temperatures start dropping off. Now looking at one of those flood warnings for this Nooksack River, this is for heavy rainfall over the North Cascades overnight, has brought significant rises on the Nooksack River with flooding expected through the morning. This is at Saxon Bridge, affecting Whatcom County. You can say stay tuned to further developments by listening to your local radio, television, or NOAA Weather Radio for further information. Turn around, don't drown when carrying flooded roads. Now looking at a good graphic from the National Weather Service of Spokane, Washington, showing the rain and mild temperatures as we go through later today. Widespread rain, high mountain snow above 7,000 feet, mild temperatures. This will likely continue over the next couple of days as well. That's kind of an older graphic. Now, there's also avalanche danger and some potential high-level avalanche danger for western Okanagan County and surrounding foothills, and also considerable avalanche danger for the west side of the Cascades, central and southern east slopes of the Cascades. So basically all of the Washington Cascades are considered the high danger for avalanches, so be very careful and stay tuned to the Northwest Avalanche Center for more information in the Cascade Range. And now looking at the forecast versus records for the San Francisco Bay Area, you can see the forecast for Santa Rosa, Napa, San Francisco, and San Jose are forecasted to be at or above the record temperature for this date. And this is for January 27th. This was actually yesterday, but they're also going to get even warmer the next couple of days. So definitely some very warm temperatures for even California standards. Now going all the way down to the National Weather Service of San Diego, you can see the weather risk outlook, and you can see that there's some minor to moderate impacts for Santa Ana winds over today, but then you can see as we go through Thursday and the Friday for San Diego, you can see some moderate to major impacts with heavy rain and possible wind and snow potentially for some of the mountains as well. Now looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center, this is valid for February 2nd through the 6th, and you can see that the below average temperatures are starting to get highlighted as those atmospheric rivers get kicked out and that colder pattern sets up, and you can see it gets warm out east potentially as well. Look at the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. On the other hand, you can see below average temperature for parts of British Columbia and parts of western Washington, northwest Oregon, as that colder air kind of brings in drier air as well, and these patterns don't usually bring a ton of precipitation with them, which is good after we've gotten a lot of precipitation in the last few days and still coming in the next couple days. But you can see the storm systems are going to start hitting the southwest United States, including Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and all the way through the central US. So a lot of these areas will definitely benefit from this. Now looking at the 14-day temperature outlook, they even start including much of Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado into this below average temperatures, as that cold low looks to continue to at least meander over the Intermountain West and much of the west coast of North America. And also the 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook for February 4th through the 10th is very similar to the last one, with below average precipitation for parts of Washington, Oregon, and above average for California. So definitely some active weather to continue watching as we go through early February. Well, that's it for this video, everybody. We got this strong atmospheric river moving in the Pacific Northwest over the next few days, bringing potential for some river flooding as well. And some rivers are actually going to start flooding today, even from the heavy rain some of the mountains we're getting over the past couple days as well. This will move down over California, bring some potential for some heavy precipitation and some good mountain snow. So watch out for those road conditions once that front moves through around the Wednesday, the Thursday timeframe. Active weather continues after that, and I'll talk about that in my next video, likely on Friday of this coming week. And then we're also going to have that cooler pattern over a lot of the Pacific Northwest and a lot of the Intermountain West, bringing potential for mountain snows and maybe some snow flurries to some of the higher hilltops as well. There's potential for freeze as well as temperatures get down below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So take care. God bless everybody, and I'll talk to everybody in the next video.